Hi guys, welcome back to Biological Sciences for Year 10. We're going to be looking at Activity 2, where we're going to look at what controls inheritance. Okay, what is it that is behind all of the information that we get from our parents? And we're going to look at sort of the human being, but I want you to basically think outside the square. It's not all about human beings. We actually are a small portion of the life on this planet. So, when you're born, you're obviously going to have some parent of some form. Where do you get all the information that makes you up, makes you an individual? Okay, well basically, the thing that we need to understand is that we are made up of cells, billions of cells, all put together. Right at the center of these, well, not the center, but inside these cells, we've got this thing called the nucleus. Now the nucleus is a compartment which is filled with genetic material. That genetic material is DNA. Now that DNA is specifically organized into little strands, and we have, those strands are called chromosomes. We have a certain number of chromosomes per individual, per species, okay? And that's what makes us all slightly different. That's why a horse looks like a horse, a human being looks like a human being, a pig looks like a pig, a dolphin looks like a dolphin. They all have their own specific number of chromosomes, and on those chromosomes they all have specific sizes, and then those specific sizes relate to specific bits of information at specific points on those chromosomes. So it's really, really complicated if you get into the nuts and bolts of it, but very, very interesting when you look at, from this stems everything which we look at, which we see, which we do. Okay, so what you'll find is that the chromosomes, as you can see in these pictures, at certain times during cellular division, they will come together. And as they come together, what will happen is they will shorten and they'll twist. And when they twist, they form these funny little X's, as you can see on the top diagram. And the bottom diagram basically shows the pairs of chromosomes as are found inside a cell. This is an electron microscope of a cell dividing. Just before they divide, basically what they'll do is they'll come together and they form these funny little crosses. Now, human beings have 23 pairs of these chromosomes, but other organisms have pairs of chromosomes similar to what you see here. Horse has 66, human 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs, cat's got 38. Tobacco plant's got 48. Okay, now you look at that and you say, well, the tobacco plant's got more chromosomes than we have. That must make them bigger and better. It's got nothing to do with that, because basically they may be very, very short chromosomes, only coding for a few genes, whereas ours may be very, very long, coding for huge numbers of genes. So don't look at the numbers of chromosomes and say, oh, that must be more intelligent or better than anything else, because it's not the way it works. What's interesting though, when you look at all of those, they're all even numbers, which basically means if they're even numbers, they come from two parents. Okay, you get information from one parent, information from another parent, slap them together, you get the overall thing. A bit like a sandwich. Okay, take your sandwich but use two different slices of bread. Put them together, get a different taste. Take another two pieces of bread, two different types, put them together, get different flavour. Okay, still got the sandwich, but you've got different flavours. Why? Because you've got this mixing between female and male information. Put it together, mix it all up. The result is you get your own individual characteristic. Okay? So, just trying to understand that we've got different numbers of chromosomes in different organisms, and that basically will make up what an individual is going to be all about. Okay, so as we stated, the chromosomes basically will control whatever is going on inside the cell. Now, what the chromosomes code for, or the genes code for, or even the basis of the genes code for is protein. Okay, so they produce protein. This protein comes together and it makes different types of things. Okay, and if you were to go on and study biology to a higher level, year 11, 12, onto university, and you go into your genetics, basically you'll look at how all of that comes about. We're going to keep it very simple here, very brief. I'm sure there'll be loads of questions that you want to ask, but remember, for this level, we're only trying to keep it to the bare minimum so you get an understanding and you don't get overly confused. you want to study there further, then here you go. That's what you want to choose when you go in next year into your senior school. Okay, now as I stated, each chromosome is divided into various sections called genes. Okay, and each gene will code for a specific characteristic. So if you can see down at the bottom here, we've got 23 pairs of chromosomes all put together. Now you can see where you've got these white and black and white and black and white and black. They're going to be the individual genes that's going to be made up. And yeah, from that, scientists can actually pinpoint, unravel it, cut it, and as a result work out what is the code, what does it code for, and as a result they can understand a little bit more about how it's going about. So what have we got to understand? Chromosomes, long pieces of DNA. They're split up into little characteristics called genes. These genes code for specific characteristics as blue eyes, green eyes, etc., etc. Okay? Different organisms have different number of chromosomes depending on the amount of information that makes them up. Okay, now as I said to you, each chromosome, because it comes in a pair, one comes from a male, one comes from a female. So the result is that we get two types of chromosomes. Now, what I've got here is basically a very crude diagram just to try and get you to understand exactly what's coming on. We've got two chromosomes here. Okay, they're blank chromosomes. There's nothing there, really, but the rectangle is just basically compartmentalizing, and we're going to build it up. We've got information from female, we've got an information from the male. Okay, now as I said to you, each chromosome will have genes. Now, genes will be specific characteristics. Now, the chromosomes are the same size, okay, in each case. So you know how we put together, these are chromosome 1, these are chromosome 2. Now, in the cell, they will be the same length. And in the chromosome itself, that will be split up into specific compartments that gets filled up with the genetic information. So as you can see, the top one, we've got eye colour. So the eye colour is the same in the male as the female. It's in the same place. The hair colour is in the same place in the female and the male. The nose shape is in the same place in the female as the male. The size of the thumb is in the same place in the female as the male. So as the genes fill up, you're going to get similar bits of information. Now, in this case, you can see all the colours are the same, which means that when we put them together, it's like having white bread in a sandwich, put it together, I've got a white bread sandwich. But what happens if I take a piece of white bread and a piece of brown bread and put it together? The flavour's going to change. There's going to be a mix. There's going to be a change in the information. There's going to be something which is going to change in my brain when I interpret what I'm tasting. So if you can see down here, I've now changed that purpley colour in the thumb to a pink colour. Okay, the male has now got a different piece of information to what the female has. Now, when all that is coded together, that change may cause a slight change in the size of your thumb, which means that there has been some variation. That variation is incredibly important on an evolutionary scale. Okay, and we'll talk about that obviously later on. So, to recap, chromosomes sitting in the cell, we've got pairs of chromosomes, male and female. Different organisms have different numbers of chromosomes. Chromosomes are then split into specific bits of information which we call genes, characteristics. Each male and female has the same size chromosomes with the same sections portioned off for specific characteristics. What's in that characteristic, what makes it up, what it codes for may change. The purple and the pink, okay? Maybe the same, it may be different. That's how we get our variety. So basically that gives us a breakdown of all the things that we've got inside our chromosomes, and hopefully that gives you an understanding as to how that comes about. All right, well, I hope you found that useful, and yeah, by all means, what should happen now is this should jog your memory. Now, if you don't get this, obviously you can rewatch the video, or go and talk with your teacher about specifics, and they'll be able to explain oh yeah, you just need to, there's a slight tweak we need to make in your understanding here or here. Okay, but I hope you found that useful, and I look forward to joining you again. And yeah, we're carrying on our study of genetics. Thanks for watching.